sometimes they get swept away by the jams that we find with no copyright to use because we don't have any budget to buy anything. Hello, and thanks for everybody joining us on another episode of Did You Hear Me? We're here with the staples. PackMan.
Hey, hello.
Wearing his PackMan gear.
That's right, celebrating a Thanksgiving Day win.
There you go. And back from the almost dead, we'll say, the sheriff.
Whew. Back from the depths.
Man, we're glad to have you. Glad both of y'all are here for a monumental episode in the analogs of Did You Hear Me? Episode number 10. X.
Man.
Put that X on it.
Didn't think we would make it.
Some say we never would have made it to episode 1. Some say we shouldn't. We're here and we're doing it. Episode number 10. I'm very proud of that, I'll say.
That's a huge accomplishment.
I think
I'm proud
so.
of you.
I think so. I'm proud of us. This has been a team effort, and all our guests, we appreciate, and the listeners especially, we appreciate them, because without them, I would still be doing it, but nobody would be listening.
We'd still have 10 episodes.
We still listeners. So, actually, you know what? No credit to the listeners. It's all us. We did the episode, but no, we appreciate everybody listening.
You are the brainchild.
Well, we do appreciate everybody listening and everybody joining in, and hopefully everybody's enjoyed it.
Keep joining.
Or at least they, join in for
good background noise.
Background noise to chores and all that type of stuff. So, but anyways, glad to have you back, Sheriff. Did you make it through your Montezuma's Revenge or whatever you got, or South Carolina's Revenge?
Made it through.
Clemson's Revenge. I don't know what we call this because you went to South Carolina and you came back sick.
I did. This was actually my family, so we cannot blame Big Brain or the fellow brains. But I did find it quite comical that y'all were, as expected, we're talking about how I would have a lot of echoes and was kicking me while I was down, putting my wife into prize fights. And I appreciate it.
There we go. Well, we're glad to have you back. PackMan, before we get started, before we get into everything else, these things aren't getting any colder. So you brought us from the land...
From the Nooga. This is the
land of the Nooga.
How do you pronounce that?
Yep. Controversial t-shirt. We'll talk about it in a second.
Oh, I looked it up, and that's an awesome shirt. I couldn't find any anywhere, but
canceled.
Yeah, I know.
The shelves.
I know. But we've got a Nashville original Yazoo Pilsner from the Yazoo Brewing Company in Nashville, Tennessee. So didn't make it to any Chattanooga breweries. It was a family trip. So I had to maze my way through some loiterers in front of the liquor store that I think was on the wrong side of the tracks. So I did not. Yeah, it better be worth it.
It's all Nooga friendly.
This is it.
Last episode. So yeah, straight from the Nooga. For my Noogas, let's crack one open.
I got a Parker Daddy-O Hall.
Yeah,
that's
we
right.
We need to do some research on that.
There's a story behind it. Named after this brewer's granddaddy, Parker Hall, known to his grandkids as Daddy-O, All-American at Ole Miss, and was first NFL player to be Rookie of the Year and MVP in the same year, 1939.
Well, there we go.
There we go.
Ready to crack them?
Ready to crack them.
Crack them. I believe that's Old Kiss.
My apologies.
Yeah, it's drinkable. It's good. A little fizzy down there, Sheriff.
It had an explosion in the mouth.
I think that was the excited shake you did in front of the camera.
Yeah, Parker Hall's exploding on me.
Hey, he was All-American.
He was.
Right. Rookie of the Year and MVP all over. Yeah, it's not bad.
Still researching.
Good. Thanks for bringing that, PackMan. And just so everybody's clear, I'm trying to break the code for everybody because our codes are biggest complaint of the show.
Yes.
The Chattanooga Lookouts, AA, for the...
Yes, please.
They were the Reds. I think they're still the Reds, AA team.
Stand by.
Minor league baseball team. They came up with a nice shirt that said Nooga, and they're the Lookout, so it had the two eyes.
Two eyes
for the O's.
It's an awesome looking shirt.
And a lot of people said because of the graphics, it did not say Nooga. There was another word that shouldn't have been on the shirt.
A different vowel.
And a different consonant.
Yeah. And a consonant.
So the funny joke anyways,
Still the
you talk about it. You can talk about it.
Shout out
You
to the
have the
extra
card to
tendons.
talk about it.
Still the AA affiliate for the Reds, so point for
There we
you,
go.
Sleezy.
That's right.
I'm gonna keep reading about
well,
Daddy O while the extra tendon speaks.
So Sleezy knew I was going to Chattanooga. He texted me while I was en route, just, I don't know, wishing his mate a happy trip or
That's
whatever. And he typed out the word Nooga. And I had to do it. I didn't know the AA story about the T-shirts,
Yeah,
about them almost
controversial.
getting canceled. So
Oh, he didn't know it.
didn't know it. So
Doesn't need to concern himself with it.
I did myself do a double take on when he texted me, and I
See?
even texted.
I guess it's a real thing.
I even texted him back, and I'm like, thought you were getting a little slurry on me on the text. And then at which point he told me about that. At which point he told me about the Lookouts shirt, and I immediately looked it up, and I said, I got to get one of those while I'm there. Nowhere to be
No,
found.
they're burned.
Nowhere
They're
to be
burned,
found.
buried,
Yeah.
nowhere.
So maybe online. I'm sure they're probably selling for eBay. So hey, send some to the podcast. We'll shout you out, and I will wear that. I will rock that shirt everywhere I go. It's an awesome looking shirt.
It was a really good shirt, I thought. I don't know where all the controversy came in. Once everybody started saying it looks like this, like you could squint and say, yeah, it might look like that. But I thought it was a good shirt.
Yeah.
So PackMan had a great post
I did.
on
Yeah.
his personal Instagram, or story, I should say, about his
It's
two
gone
beautiful paquettes.
Yeah, it's not there
What was the
anymore.
caption you used?
Something about.
He was getting slurry, but he got the card.
I posted a picture of Brady and Millie and said, traveling with my little Noogas, and I put the location as Chattanooga.
It all makes sense.
It makes perfect
It's just
sense.
funny.
Which I guess they've got the extra tendons too.
They got about
By proxy.
a quarter of it.
That's it. A quarter tendon.
The next generation of little Barnetts are going.
Yeah,
I don't know. They're
I don't
gonna-
know. It was a funny controversy because there wasn't a controversy, but just funny to joke about. So,
Linus Parker Bullet Hall, who also served in World War II. Thank you for your service.
Man.
We're scooping back to him.
Talking about Daddy O.
Yep, Daddy O.
Linus Parker. That's somebody was a Charlie Brown fan there.
There you go.
It is, apparently, this is the top 20 out of 134 of the best Pilsners blind taste tested. So, top 20,
Top 20 out of
Pilsner.
134. That's a pretty good percentage.
not too bad. So,
Not too
get you
bad.
some Yazoo
Yep.
Pilsner.
It's again not a beer guy, but everything's beer on here. And
No,
it's
not
good.
true. Not true.
We had
Fake
one.
news.
We had one weekday.
You know
pour.
what?
Shout out, Finn.
Last week your bowels betrayed you.
Yeah,
because
we did.
we
They
had
did.
a beautiful,
Oh, I listened to it.
beautiful mixed drink made by the special agent.
That's right.
That was not intended for her. It was
She's gonna
intended
have
for
to.
you.
She's gonna have to make that for me.
And those of you that are catching the video of this, we are not sponsored by Arnold Palmer's.
We are soon to be.
We are not
Yeah,
sponsored.
better be after this.
The sheriff literally walked into the boom boom room with 94-ounce Arnold
They're up
Palmer's, and he set them up. So I guess he's looking for a sponsorship because I think he goes through 12 a day.
There's 20% juice combined.
Good segue for you, Sleazy. The Bullet played for the Cleveland Rams and the San Francisco 49ers
There we go.
in the No Fun League.
There you go. He's referencing I got to head back to the land to Cleveland next week. So not looking forward to
Go
that.
see Flo.
Weather looks glorious, but
You might see some snow.
Yeah, you
maybe.
like it, so.
I've already had it, so maybe a second
That's right.
round. But anyways, well, fellas, I do want to get into the Georgia game a little bit.
Ooh.
I never was in doubt. I thought they played very sloppy, but they still dominated the game. The final score, talking to Georgia Tech, good old clean. What is it? Good.
Oh boy,
good-
easy.
Oh
easy.
man, clean, old-fashioned hate. Oh goodness.
He found it. Found
Dang,
it.
the Arnold Palmers are flustered.
They're spiked.
The final score, 31-24. Hey, Arnold. 31-24. The score, to me, is closer than the game played. Does that make any sense?
23.
Yeah, okay. You're correct.
Which is kind of a weird number.
You are correct, but the game played closer than the score.
Yeah, oh yeah. It was
I mean, not as close as the score, sorry.
No, I disagree. Go ahead, Pack.
No, go ahead.
I think Georgia Tech was a rambling wreck and a hell of an engineer. I think it was their Super Bowl, as
Correct.
it is for most teams. I thought they looked fantastic.
They did look good. My point in that was, if you take away and you can't take anything away.
Okay,
we won't get in that argument about what ifs and what has.
And all the good losses out there.
We'll get into that later, but if you take away the interception there in the end zone, which already was a touchdown before the interception, then we're not even talking about how close it is because it swings the score a lot differently. And I thought Georgia didn't play a crisp game. I thought they were pretty sloppy, a lot of penalties in key moments. Not a lot, several penalties in key moments that kept Tech in the game. But Tech played a really good game, and that was my point. Even though the special agent didn't want to agree with me last week, that Tech was a much improved team.
Absolutely.
And they played very well, and they exposed what Auburn did and what Missouri did with their little zone runs.
I like it. The quarterback run game. Might see it again.
You could. And we can kind of talk about these games in unison since they're destined to...
Man, you're on top of your game tonight.
Hey,
he's in episode 10 form.
Episode 10, man.
He's a veteran of many wars.
That's right.
Man, I should have got an X shirt to wear tonight.
DX.
No, but we can talk about these games in unison. So Alabama, wow, what a finish. I mean, for those of you that didn't get a chance to see that game, sorry for those of you who are DVRing it like the Sheriff. Sheriff, have you watched it?
I watched it live.
All right. Just jab at him there.
Jab it.
Easy
on the jabs now.
A last-second win for Alabama on a 4th and 32.
31 or something like that.
31.
31. I'm off by 1 today.
Man. Giving away free points and free yards.
A 4th and 31. Milroe, the Alabama quarterback, Auburn decided to give him a chance and not cover everybody. I don't understand how that guy got open as he was.
They rushed 2, and they had I don't know, you call them a spy, but they had
call them a spy. They had a special agent.
They had 8 in coverage.
They did.
But
go ahead.
I mean, I don't know. If you don't get pressure, it's hard to. I don't care if you've got all 11 in coverage. I mean, if there's no pressure, you give them all day to.
I thought with the 31 yards that they had to go. Actually, was it 31 plus? Because at the end, it wasn't goal.
No, it wasn't goal. Yeah.
It was 4th and goal from the 31-yard line.
There you go.
Okay. Stat guy fired.
Yeah, but they're in the Bama does a lot out of the shotgun, so there you go. You could give them another.
My point being
2.5 yards.
My point being 31 yards for a touchdown. How do you not have a zone type prevent defense in the end zone? I just don't know. They let him get in that corner by himself, and I think that's poor defensive planning. But to Pack's point, he had forever to run around, and you're correct. I think if it was closer, I'd say yes. He had so much time, somebody should have been open, but with a 31-yard plus.
No, I got you. That's all. Get pressure the quarterback. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't be a defensive coordinator, I don't think, anywhere, because I'd blitz every single time.
I like it. I'll hire you. I like it.
But, you can't just let them run around. Eventually, somebody's going to find a little piece of green and just be open, and if your quarterback can make a throw, he can make a throw. I mean,
you are correct. You are correct. I just
I like the call. I like the call. I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if you zero blitz him, then you're leaving a lot more of the field. The King, who is an all-time Hall of Fame Granite City maniac on the football field, was calling for that same defensive play, the rush 2 with a spy. But it was a 4-man route, so I don't know how everyone wasn't doubled.
Right.
Well, that was my point. You said it much more eloquently than I did.
Thank you. I did listen to the post game.
Yes.
Where Saban, who shout out to Megatude, my sister-in-law, said,
Megatude, I like it.
He looks like
does
a
she
bull.
like that?
She does.
All right.
Megatude, that's one code name that we've come up with that people actually know who we're talking about. But shout out to Megatude, who said our dreaded coach down the street in Tuscaloosa looks like a bullfrog and talks like Kermit.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a beautiful description. Who said it was sounds like it was a option play. Obviously, everybody's in the end zone running a different route, and then it seemed like he was going to tell the reporters more than he should. And then he said, if I knew the name of the play, I wouldn't tell you.
There you go.
So it was a called play, but I think it's,
yeah.
To Pack's point, you kind of running into backyard ball because the guy's just sitting back there in a chair talking about Milrow, who does not need to be sitting back there in a chair on Saturday.
Yeah, he doesn't. And then flipping back to the Georgia game.
Flip it back.
You know, Carson Beck didn't have his best performance, but he was missing both weapons, and it was noticeable. Brock Bowers wasn't in there, and Ladd McConkey was not in there. And I thought that was noticeable, although Bell, number 86, is playing very well right now. And Kendall Milton, the running back, has found his groove, I think. So
he kind of looks a little girly-esque with the yards after contact.
He does.
I'm not trying to give him arthritis.
Yeah, I think he's come on stronger as the season has went on. He's found his groove, and I think he's one of those guys that needs touches, needs to get in a rhythm.
Don't we all?
Don't we all need touches? Well said,
I'm
Jerry.
I'm back.
He's been thinking about it for 2 weeks.
Well rested.
I had a bye week on the porcelain, and I'm ready. Pack is on fire today, man. That's got to disrupt the quarterback.
Yeah,
I think that's
correct.
what it boils down to. And both teams, I know none of the coaches are going to say it. None of the players are going to say it. We're 10 podcasts in, and they're 12 games in. I think these kids at this point know what to say. Both teams were looking ahead.
I think
they
so.
They should have blown Auburn out of the stadium.
I think,
100%.
the shimmer was off of both rivalry games,
Bingo.
especially for Auburn's prior week. Well, Pack was at the Auburn fan wedding when they got blown out by New Mexico State.
Behind enemy lines.
Yeah, right. And Tech's had a back and forth season. They had some good wins, some disappointing losses, but I think their coach has them on the right track. Now, I don't know what the plan is going forward with quarterback long term. How many years does this guy have left? I don't know. He was already a transfer. Had 3 years at A&M, and
King. I don't know much
about
him.
I think it's his second year there, so he may have 1 year left.
Chris Winkie is his quarterback coach, so there may be some wormhole because Chris Winkie was way ahead of his time.
Correct. I think my point in that statement was Georgia Tech, and I've watched a couple games this year just by happenstance of being on the television. Not that I seek them out. Please don't come to my house and burn it down. I do not seek them out, but I have called a couple of their games, and they look well above where they were 3-4 years ago. So I think they're headed in the right direction. I don't know if they're going to be contenders for anything. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just think they're going to be formidable foes going forward, and especially if Georgia continues to play as well as they have, and being at the end of the year and always something after them to play for, there'll always be that classic trap game as well.
Yeah, I would say, and I think maybe the special agent said this last week, thanks for filling in, we have gotten really spoiled, but I think bowl eligibility is a huge, whether these teams are rebuilding or they've never been good. Obviously, years and years and years ago, Georgia Tech was really good.
Yep.
But, they're bowl eligible, and I think that's a huge step.
Correct.
And then, obviously, if this Coach Key is an alumni, and I think he's already alluding to if they win bowl eligibility, which they have this year, then they want to start winning what a lot of these coaches call the state championship.
Yep.
And then it kind of goes from there. Obviously, Georgia's on another level, but
But he was one of the targets in one of his opening press conferences was Georgia. So I thought they looked good. I will say that much. I'm glad Georgia came out on top. I thought Georgia was control the whole game, even though they, in my opinion, played sloppy and Tech played extremely well. Those two combinations made for a close game.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Thank you, Sleezy, that it was a team playing out of their mind.
Yes.
And a team that was a little sleepy.
Yeah, and two was the Little Rogers brother, not Aaron, but the other guy.
Jordan?
They don't talk, so I don't know.
Jordan.
I'm on Team Aaron, so I don't acknowledge him. For those of you who don't know, they don't speak.
They don't.
Rogers brothers. They don't. Aaron Rodgers. And
I don't think Aaron talks to anybody in the family.
Yeah, it's Jordan Rogers.
Yeah, Jordan Rogers. They were given.
Beautiful young man.
Wasn't the point I was going to make. Okay. That's fine. He was giving the Georgia Tech coach a lot of grief for not going for it on a 4th and 1 early in the game, and they kicked a field goal. And I agreed with him. I thought the momentum was on their side, and you got nothing to lose. Your fan base is not gonna be on you for going for it 4th and 1 at like the 25.
Yeah.
When your quarterback's been running all over our line, or your line's been dominating, the quarterback's taking advantage of it, getting to the second level on multiple runs. So they gave him a lot of grief for that, and I agreed with it. And I thought it was interesting that they did that so publicly on the broadcast, because usually they like to toe the line. But he's already ruined one relationship with his brother. He doesn't care about anything else.
I like it. That's the Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy team, and I think Jordan Rogers was in there somewhere. But yeah, they're
oh, you're right. It wasn't Jordan Rogers. I made the whole comment about the Rogers brother. But my feelings still stand that it was Team Aaron. You're right. It was McElroy.
Packer.
I was thinking.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was had my
quarter zip. Oh yeah.
I had my short, white bearded former SEC quarterbacks confused.
I gotta stop correcting you, but then you're gonna have to spend 40 minutes on Instagram correcting it.
Correct. I would have been the ridicule. I still will be ridicule of all of our fans.
No, we won't share.
I like
this
that
one.
I like that.
I have
Obviously,
edit powers.
Yeah, that's right.
you do. You have all the powers as the brainchild of this 10-episode freight train.
Can't be stopped.
I'm partial to the McDonough family as a whole because they're from Boston.
Homer.
But I think they do a really good job, and they are honest.
Yeah.
To a fault, to your point, but they're honest on both sides.
No, it was great. I mean, it was fair analysis. So I don't want to we're not going to get into this in depth this episode because, spoiler alert, we're going to have an early episode because of my travels to pay the bills for this podcast. I have to leave next Sunday, so we'll be actually have an episode before the championship game, but we'll briefly touch on it. What's the line now, Sheriff? For Georgia, Alabama, next Saturday.
Yes, Georgia is favored by 5 points.
And do you think that's fair?
We explained that to Finch, but I don't know if you want to rehash that. Big Finch, excuse me.
Yeah, hopefully everybody's clear. That means Georgia is giving Alabama, on the betting lines, if they were doing this just for purely betting, they're giving Alabama 5 points to start the game. So Alabama starting the game 5-0.
Right. So if Georgia wins by 3, they lose.
Against the spread.
Correct. Alabama would cover.
Yes.
Which is their way of saying yes.
My question to you, Sheriff and Pack, is what do you think about the line? Do you think that's about right for the start, or did you expect it to be tighter, bigger? What did you expect?
I failed you also, Sleezy. The over-under for total points is 55.5, which I think is interesting, too.
Okay. So initial thoughts on the line.
So expecting a lot of points. I guess Vegas is thinking a 35-28 action.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pat.
I don't know. I personally, and I don't know why, no rhyme or reason, I'm going under 55 points.
I like it.
Okay.
And I think 5 is about right.
I do too. I think once you get below a touchdown,
yeah.
I think that they're just trying to gauge interest at that point. They're saying it's going to be within a touchdown either way. It's what I'm reading with that.
Yeah, that's tough to bet on if you're a betting person. That's tough.
And that's why they got those big old buildings.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, with the flowers and the fountains and everything. I think it got as low as 4 to help y'all out, but now it's.
I mean, it's tough.
I think there was a lot of Alabama bettors.
Yeah, no doubt.
I am not a brain surgeon, but when it got as low as 4, I probably would have taken the +4 for Bama turd. But so now they're
well, it's just
they're cooking the book, so to speak, and sending it back up.
I think there's a blueprint for both teams to be successful.
Absolutely.
But it's not necessary. Maybe they haven't necessarily shown that strength throughout the season to exploit it. Is what I'm thinking in my head, but.
This kid Melrose a problem because they.
He can be, but there's also been ways to contain him. So if you follow the blueprint and don't overcommit like the linebackers were doing against Georgia Tech, I think you had. I think that was one of the big problems with.
Shout out to the King.
Yeah, that was his point, and I agreed with him.
Over pursuit.
Yeah, I think that was a big success driver for Georgia Tech in the game. So if that happens against Alabama, with how elusive Milroe can be, that's gonna be a big problem.
Yeah, I've always loved Auburn's defense, and they may be a bag of dog turd as far as a total team, but they're always big up front. I'm a huge fan of Kevin Steele, who calls the plays for the defense. So you're talking about a team that knew Alabama really well, a coach that's really good, and there was still probably 10 or 15 missed tackles on the guy that directly, affects the outcome of the game, because I think as soon as you get him on the ground, now he's starting to see ghosts or whatever. So it's but they didn't hit Joe Milton on the road, and they still won with like 1 sack late in garbage time. So it's I don't know. This is to me, this is a rivalry that's not going anywhere. Both teams are always going to be good. And so it's a field goal game every time they.
I did enjoy the camera shots of the crying girls in the stands.
Oh man, those are my favorite.
They were so liquored up, the emotions were just flowing.
None of them had any extra tendons, though. It was a specific demographic.
They didn't know what a football was, or they were sad.
Yeah.
So all of our prognostications over the past few weeks about the playoffs.
Wait a minute. What a word.
Hey, episode 10, baby.
That's right.
Got the thesaurus out.
Episode X. Got the thesaurus for X.
All of our talking about the playoffs, really nothing was solved over the weekend.
Nope.
Could have been.
Yeah.
A lot of games were close. All right, so we had number 2, 3 playing, Ohio State, Michigan.
Man,
from what I have,
Yazoo is kicking in on you, Sleezy.
No. I didn't get to watch all the game. I watched a little bit of it, and then I read a lot about it. From what I said, and I think you watched all of it there, but it sounded like Michigan dominated that game up front.
Yeah, I don't shout out.
And it wasn't a very pretty game.
Shout out to Big Brain's grandfather, who's Bowman, born and raised Madison County in Bowman, Georgia.
Did you say Bowman is in Madison County?
I said that he was born in Madison County and raised in Bowman.
Man,
excuse me.
I know. King and Jet were about to come over here.
That is different counties by a bridge.
Miko Hardman would have had a.
Yeah, he's got a sign in the center of town. Well, that's the Yankee rising up in me, center of town.
Right by a slick-headed Friday Mills. Go ahead.
Anyway, I think Georgia or any of these southern schools that are top tier could probably beat both those teams in the same day by multiple scores. But it just seemed like a slower game, and I am keeping into account that it is slower on TV, but it just seems even slower.
What a funny game though. You had the Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh in some layer somewhere because he's suspended for
allegedly at his house.
He's not normal enough to be at his house. He has some bunker somewhere with a lot of milk.
He likes
milk, whole milk.
He is
whole milk.
Yeah, whole milk.
Whole milk.
Yeah,
I thought you said old milk.
No,
he might like that too.
He likes whole
cheeseburgers
milk.
too.
Yeah, but he's in some layer watching it because he's suspended for cheating. Like all of them do in Michigan, Michiganites. And then Ryan Day's out there got a freshly coated beard of just for men.
He painted it coming out of the locker room. It was dark.
Apparently he's allergic to it because the bags under his eyes were swollen. So
that was emotion.
Yeah, and then his outfit before the game, his jacket and tie, hideous. I don't know if you saw that. Anyways, just a funny game, and then they're not great teams. The only shining spot on that whole field.
Another Yazoo.
Come on. The only shining spot on the whole field is Marvin Harrison Jr.
Correct, dude. He's a stud, man.
He's probably about to pull his dreads out from where they're weaved in. To say,
racist, cancel.
That's not racist.
Yeah, man, we started. That's it. He's walking off the set.
That's not racist.
Pulling the Shannon Sharp.
So hold on. We're gonna solve this right now. So you think his dreads are natural? Convenient sip there.
Sipping my
Nooga beer. You think his dreads are natural? Go ahead.
I'm sitting this conversation out.
What makes you think they are? Black people can't grow hair.
Of course they can. You didn't answer the question though.
Yes.
They're natural?
Yeah.
Have you seen his hairline?
I don't need to see his hairline.
Okay, Marvin Harrison's about to pull his natural dreads out.
Thank you.
Because he had 118 yards. I think with Carson Beck or even Milrow, he could have had 218 yards against that team. But and I think it sums up the game. Michigan's 19-play, 56-yard drive that took up 7 minutes and ended in a field goal. I think that summed the game up.
Yeah, they both teams stacked the box. They were going to let the McCord kid or McCord for Ohio State, for all the people that don't care about sports ball out there, and then McCarthy is slightly better. I think we are doing whatever is more than splitting hairs. We're doing that.
Splitting dreads.
Correct. That are fake.
No.
I've seen
Apparently they're real.
I've seen
Sorry,
his,
America.
I've seen his
Real
dad.
dread.
America. That's mighty presumptuous of you to think America is listening to us.
America.
Episode
Come
10,
on.
baby.
Yeah, that's right.
If you've seen his dad's hairline, you might be a little skeptical.
I was putting the whole package
Yeah,
and
the
lineage
whole
together to make that
family.
comment.
And you got shot down, but
Yeah.
we have to listen to Pack on these things.
We do.
But yeah, it was stack the box and let the quarterbacks beat you, and I was not impressed. As
No.
just a football fan,
Yeah.
I was not impressed
All right.
because
Well, I think I throw enough shade on that game.
Yeah,
My
their
point
deep-
was to highlight that those two played each
fake
other.
dreads.
Not my whole point.
That was your whole point.
Michigan won, so they're in the playoff. Regardless of what happens, they're in the playoff. Even if they lose against Iowa coming up.
They will outscore Iowa. I'm
Well,
fairly certain of that.
And then Washington, late field goal, very, very late
Good
field
game.
goal.
Good.
From what I didn't get to see any of that one, but I read about the recap of it. It's read as a good game. Hopefully it watched as a good game. They came with the last second field goal, won their game. So they play Oregon. That's interesting. I think that's a play-in game.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I'm excited for
In the
that.
city
game.
of sin.
Dan Lanning, former Georgia Bulldog defensive coordinator. I'm rooting for him. And Bo Nix, the 37-year-old
As am
Big
I.
Dave in Erie had a little issue with my shade on Bo Nix, but
Uh-oh.
he's going to win the Heisman. He'll be the oldest Heisman winner since Chris Winkie, who's a Mormon missionary. So he missed 4 years. I don't know if that's correct or not. I think I just made that up. No.
Fake news.
No, Winkie was the baseball player that came back.
Chris Winkie went to Florida State.
That's correct. He was the baseball player that took a hiatus.
just go with it, please.
Who was the Mormon that won that went off? It doesn't matter. Anyways,
I think Tim Tebow went on some missions trips, but I don't
he
think
didn't miss
was
football
more.
for though. Bo Nix has just played
Shout out to
37.
Excuse.
He's on his 32nd year of college
I
football.
gotta look
This
that
is his
up.
best year, and he's looked really good. And that team is rolling. So, anyways,
You are
Yes.
right.
way off
Good,
the track.
good match. Yes. Yeah, play-in game.
Play-in
A
game.
winner of that is likely
Okay.
in the playoff.
All right,
Okay, so you're at three.
The
so-
SEC championship game is a play-in game.
Ty
yeah,
Detmer.
I agree.
Okay.
Ty Detmer was a Brigham and Young Mormon.
Thank you.
BYU.
Shout out to the soaking who won the Heisman.
Left field. All right. If you don't know what that is,
Yeah.
Google it.
Don't.
Safe search.
Go in incognito mode
No, there's like
or incognito mode.
There's
on
a
that.
Okay.
Hey, I'm going with the theme of the podcast.
Yeah.
Fake dreads and a great shirt.
Yeah.
Crack another Nooga.
I'm cracking it.
So, all right. So we got 3 spots taken,
Three
And-
spots, yes. Winner of Pac-12.
and the
Soon
fourth
to be
spot.
Pac-2.
The fourth spot. Florida State came. It was an ugly game.
You're giving them a spot.
No, I'm saying they're the undefeated.
Yes.
Going into their championship game, they beat Florida in an ugly game in the swamp.
Shout out CNN was very offended last week
Oh,
after the episode
man.
about
I bet he was.
I bet Bob the Murder Cop was as well. but
T.
he
Clark?
listened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
T.
So
Clark's not a listener, but
I saw that Bob the Murder Cop and CNN had a bunch of AI art renderings of the FSU undefeated train, as they put it, through the Gator
Yeah.
Field on
Yeah.
their Instagrams. But
Yeah, very offended that we sat up here and talked about how they weren't worthy of the.
they're
I
not.
don't think we
spot.
said that. I think we said
In their mind.
Okay.
In their mind.
I'll say it. They're not.
they're gonna have to win next weekend. They have to
I mean,
win.
I thought they
Yeah.
had to win big these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's an interesting situation because they're being judged on what they are now without their star quarterback, but they have earned. So, Sheriff,
I don't know.
You went on this rant about.
Yeah, I don't know if these Yazoos are kicking in, but they want to bring up Cardell Jones and get out of here. The 2014-2015 Ohio State Buckeyes would beat the current FIs by about 200 points. So I don't want to hear that. I don't know. The 2019 LSU team would have beat NFL teams. Like, you can't. I don't know why in the hell in society we make all these jumps. Yes, the Cardell Jones was the third stringer behind J.T. Barrett, and I can't even remember who the other guy was that got hurt. He played like 4 snaps, but they had 3 quarterbacks, all with extra tendons, but they had a fabulous team. They had a fabulous team. And that's not comparable. It's just one team had a backup quarterback and the other had a backup quarterback. After that, I don't think you have an argument.
Okay. Pat, you had a comment?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I threw them off with the 3.
All right, so that's what we're looking at.
Throw them off.
10 is it. X. X. We're getting X.
X is a real X. So I think we will table this until the next episode because we've already spent longer than I anticipated.
We can talk about this,
and we have another episode before the games.
I want to talk about Free Shoes University and the fact that they needed to beat the heck out of Florida and needed to beat Louisville.
Go ahead.
Does an undefeated conference champ? I mean,
does that matter this year?
No good losses, according to you, right?
You play to win the game, yes.
You play to win the game. So if they have no losses, and you're saying you're talking out of both sides out of your mouth.
Yeah,
so are you saying that somebody with a good loss is more deserving than someone with no losses?
All right. How much are we looking at the eye test? How much are we looking at their resume? Their conference is horrible, unless, as I said in the group with you, Pack, with all the tendons.
Whoa, no hostility.
Unless Clemson wins 15 games, that conference is a basketball conference. And I don't know if anybody would disagree on that. They're going to make a killing in March.
They will.
Yeah, I don't. I'm looking at the team on the field. Will they make it if they are an undefeated ACC champion? Yes. But everybody wants to tell me that this and that, and they're so fast, and remember Cardell Jones. I'm just watching them play the game, and it is not a great product.
So
it is not a top 4 team.
So to that point, gosh, my years, I don't even want to guess the year because I've been awful numbers today.
Come on, go with it. I just want you to keep winging it.
The last great Mark Richt team with no Sean Moreno and Stafford.
09.
Okay. Was that it? When they got left out of the championship game because they had the early loss to, was it South Carolina?
He had 2 really good years. I think 09 was a good one.
They had 2 losses that year,
the Aaron Murray 2011,
No, this
2012.
is the one where they played Hawaii in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, that was 09.
Okay.
Pack brought his A game today.
They were the best team at the end of the year.
That would have been the Alabama Notre Dame.
Yes.
BCS.
So this is before the playoffs. They didn't have a chance to get in, but they were the best team on the field.
Bama got you again.
But they didn't win the games. And I didn't disagree with them being left out of the championship game because they didn't win the games.
That's a big computer doing a formula and
it's the same point though. It's the same point.
Alternate universe.
It's the same point though. The same point is, and I'm not a Florida State fan. I don't think they're that great. I think they're a top 10 team, but I don't think they're a top 4 team. But
I agree.
They have beaten everything in front of them. And
that's all you can ask for.
To be the contrarian,
as
the sheriff loves.
My man.
Georgia's schedule is, when you go back and look at it, they have good wins over Ole Miss and Missouri.
Yeah, and Tennessee will be ranked at the end of the year.
I don't think that's a good win. I don't think it's a flashy win.
On the road.
It's a good win. We'll give it a good win.
With Dolly Parton.
So they've got good wins. Do they have a great win yet, Georgia?
I think Missouri, I've already said on the podcast.
Okay.
Shout out to the podcast. Missouri being a New Year's Six.
Okay, so do you think Florida State has any great wins? Do you count Clemson? On the road, right?
Clemson on the road, sure.
Okay, so they have a great win.
But I think the schedules are comparable between the two teams. I think Georgia's schedule is most comparable to Florida State because they beat LSU, who at the time was the AP number 5 team.
Correct. Still a good win.
And then you look at, well, all wins are good.
Oh my gosh!
Because you play to win the game.
All right. We're gonna. Go ahead. I'll let you have the last word.
This is my problem. Is Pack and I play football on the August the 31st, and Pack's ranked number 1. Pack can be the 100th team by the end of it if he craps the bed. Shout out Amber Heard. But the rankings are not this. And this is, I thought Pack brought up a beautiful point about the NFL. They have power rankings, which is, to me, is simply some guy that is a nerd that's giving them, some of the former players are good, but a lot of it's just media types that are saying, hey, we watched this team play. But you have power rankings in the NFL, which if you watch them, don't really change that much, but then they still get a chance to duke it out on the field.
Correct.
That's the problem to me with college is the rankings are so fluid.
Correct.
Outside of a few blue blood teams.
And the preseason rankings are so projectional.
But we're going by them, right? Because if you talk to a Seminole fan that cheers for the free shoes, they will say, well, we beat the number 5 team in the land. And they're not wrong.
Right.
But then look at LSU struggled with Georgia State for 2 halves or whatever. Now they're the 14th or 15th team in the country. So it's you're constantly chasing the bouncing ball to me, but that's I digress.
Okay. It's a very good conversation that will never be solved. And there's actually never the argument that solves all the arguments.
And I think it's a good point. What we're doing for number 4, everybody that says, well, the 12 team's going to solve it is full of you-know-what, because whatever we're doing for number 4, if your team is number 12, which for the big schools it'll be number 11 because one small school's going to get in, they're going to be going crazy about 11.
But I think it'll be like the March Madness where like you get some TV time talking about the last spot, but at the end of the day, the right teams are in.
Right, the first 2 and the first 2 out,
Correct. So anyway,
or whatever the basketball.
Very good conversation. Very spirited. The sheriff. Very spirited.
I don't know. They went out. They're in. Sorry, computer nerd. Nick,
we'll see.
Love you.
We'll see. We'll see how they. Anyways, all right. Moving on.
Go ahead.
We'll talk. We're gonna talk. We'll talk Friday about it before championship weekend.
If Bama wins, though, I think everything is then up in the air.
Correct, and we will talk about that next episode.
Hey, stay tuned.
Teaser. I didn't even do that on purpose.
Double Uno.
Tease.
All right, we have some listener questions I want to get into. Some of them are pretty interesting, and the sheriff, I don't know what's going on at the end of the table there.
I got you.
Making a mess.
No, Parker Hall fell. Linus the bullet.
Hey, you know what?
We got to keep him up.
And all the Arnolds about Bill. We're going to go with this first question because the sheriff is on. He is on call tonight, not because he is on call, but because Big Brain is on call at any moment.
You might be a baby. You never know.
Correct, and he will have to leave and run back to take care of the
Not
tornado.
my child, please, God. Not my child.
Big Brain's not having a child, but she will be delivering the child.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So the question. Pretty interesting question and kind of goes, it's about the sheriff, but we're going to have input.
Okay.
Complaining Kyle, who, you know what, he's had 2 weeks of 2 good questions.
Wait, hang on a second. Complaining Kyle, I told him, I would shout him out. He helped me out Wednesday at work for work-related things. So saw him out there and told him I appreciate it. Said, I'll shout you out. So here's your shout out.
Yeah. You know, he's almost to the point where we can have a new nickname for him.
Oh,
he helped you out in 2 weeks of good questions.
Okay, all right.
So you can make it a third, we'll get a new nickname.
I'm excited to hear this one.
If you don't complain about it.
Yeah, keep helping Pack.
So he wants to know, if the sheriff and his spouse were to swap careers for a week, who would be more successful?
Ooh.
And we just alluded to what Big Brain does.
Oh, this we could go.
But we
go
know Big
triple
Brain.
X with this one.
So I think a lot of you would say, well, the sheriff can't deliver babies, but we know Big Brain pretty well, and I don't know if we trust her with a Leo tool on the side of the hip.
No,
if you get my drift.
So,
go ahead, Pat.
I think
I want to hear what y'all have to say.
I think the sheriff would have the benefit of other staff around nursing staff, other techs, and other things. There's a lot of people sometimes
in the hospital setting.
In the hospital setting.
In the office.
So you're saying he would be the quarterback?
Yeah,
Like
I think he could be completely hands off and have a successful baby delivery. Whereas I think
so. All right.
Are
we saying that Big Brain just goes in there and points?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
She's a midwife.
She is a certified nurse midwife.
So she gets elbow deep.
She is.
She does.
She's not like the. A lot of people get the midwives and the doulas confused. I didn't hear what Pac said.
No, he said she gets elbow deep, and I said yes, she does. Yes. I'm not taking anything away from her. I'm saying you wouldn't have to do that.
If we're talking about a rank structure like we have at work, shout out to the Leos, she would be like a nurse practitioner. So she is a medical provider similar to a doctor.
Yeah.
She can do everything. She's going to kill me for saying this, but she can scrub in on a cesarean section, but obviously the doctor's going to run point, but they're still heavily involved, stitching up. They are one very small rung under an OBGYN.
So she's very accomplished. We're not taking anything away from her.
No, not at all. That's
but you're saying in a 1 week.
Yes.
I could shout the commands.
Okay.
We know that.
Would you be head level or feet level?
I'd be down in there. I've watched all the C-sections of my children being born into this world, or whatever the correct terminology is. I've watched the C-sections. I'm very intrigued with the medical field. I'm a horrible patient because I know a little bit too much, maybe by osmosis. I'm sure Pat can level with that, but Big Brain is going to say no. She'll probably make a comment on the socials because of the mere size of my hands, which y'all are bringing my elbows into it. But she has just looked at my hands on the couch while I've been watching anything that a man watches, like football, and said, no one wants those hands inside of them.
I don't know what conversation y'all are having.
That was what I was going to say. I may have a mutiny from my patients, is what I'm saying. What she's saying.
So I'm going to take the other side of this fence.
Oh, okay.
And say,
we don't need
Big
her to have
Brain
a gun.
Yeah, she would terrify me.
Yeah.
Somebody would be shot because they quote unquote deserved it as soon as shift started.
Yeah, or for her first traffic stop, she'd be kidnapped in the trunk because whatever they told them, there's a Pottery Barn item back there. I think that is an easier argument than whether my hand size is appropriate for anybody's areas.
Okay. Yeah.
Or whatever.
So, all right. So we just got to give a one-word answer. Who do we think would be more successful, Big Brain or the sheriff, in the opposite role for 1 week?
I didn't even think of Pac's point, but I'm going with me, I guess.
Sheriff.
I'm going to go with the sheriff because I think he can hide for 1 week. It's hard to hide in the sheriff's position as the Big Brain because the Big Brain would assert dominance.
She would try.
She would get out there. She wouldn't hide.
The effort would be there.
And she would love the opportunity to carry the tools around.
She has been stopped many a time. So I'm sure she'd like a little role reversal there.
So, but do I think you could do the job that she does? No, but I think you could hide for a week with all the help, as PackMan has elaborated on.
Okay, that's a good question. And again, that could be a good question for. We could do role reversal time for anybody on the table.
Yeah, well, I've already failed at my wife's job, so we can already go say I can't do it.
I've already Special
failed.
agent
You did not fail.
I failed
That's
not to dip out, so I couldn't do hers.
That's a great question.
But that's a good question. Could you do a Doc Holliday's job?
Oh, man. See, that's tough. So I don't think I could do her job at all, but I more so think she couldn't do mine. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think we would both be failing.
I think you both are ill-fitted for each other's job.
Yes, we would both be failing. But she tells me about some of the things she has to she has to do bone marrow biopsies.
I've heard those are extremely.
So you're
painful.
basically corking into somebody's bone to get some bone marrow out for a biopsy. And I was like, there's no way I could do that. But there are things that I know she couldn't do on my job. So I don't know that either one of us would succeed. I guess.
Who would have the better loss to y'all's foolishness on this college? I know it's not y'all. I was firing shots at y'all 2 weeks ago.
That's right.
Oh man, I think so. While we were in Nooga this weekend, Doc Lolliday was on call. Her on call isn't like our on call where we have to go in. She's consulting on the phone, and so I'm hearing her talk to other doctors and to other patients, and like I am lost. She might as well be speaking another language. So
smart lady.
Yeah, very, very much smarter than I ever even would want to be, I think. So I would fail tremendously at her job. I think if she came into my role as my current rank,
it would be that big brain scenario where she could point.
She would be more successful.
Point
because,
to booty meat. And say,
go get them. Yep. She could point to booty meat and say,
booty meat will do it too.
Do this, and he will. And I've done the same thing, and he's done, and he's done it. So I think she, by that, would be more successful for a week than I would at her job.
That's a good point. Well, that's a great segue.
Pack loves his wife more than I love mine. That's what we just came down to there.
Apparently,
because he was treading, he was walking on thin ice.
That's a good segue because Big Game James booty meat.
Booty meat
is the next question, and that's an interesting one that's been debated a lot. But we'll give it a whirl. Not really my sport, but I have an opinion. Jordan and LeBron. Who's the GOAT?
Oh my God, dude! We don't have enough time.
So
for this.
what is Booty Moot's generation? He's about 10 years younger than us.
Yeah, so he's probably Team LeBron. If I had to guess,
think it's generational.
Yes, I agree.
I wouldn't even have to ask the question.
Yeah, so I'm obviously going to pick Jordan, but I think it's not a fair question. I think you should. I mean, there's no way we'll ever know because then what do you say? Do you say LeBron, or I'm sorry, Jordan, or who? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but all these because Bill Russell
has a championship.
Has more. People always say, "Well, Jordan's got 6. He's got 6 rings." Well, Bill Russell has Statman
7.
Yeah. Is it 7? Yeah.
Let me get our non-sports listeners called up. So LeBron James.
We probably should do that before every episode.
LeBron James, the current greatest player. We'll just say, go ahead and say it. Current greatest player of all time. Michael Jordan, the one that was the greatest player of the 80s and 90s, and then we're comparing. But we're talking about basketball, and basketball has changed their rules. And that's what we're talking about, the eras.
From decade to decade. Yes. I mean, even before the Jordan era, you go back several years, there's no three-pointer. Mm-hmm. I mean, so you go back far enough. So, a lot of kids love Steph Curry. Steph Curry has changed the game of basketball. You see kids now pull up and just want to shoot threes where, when I was growing up, like, everybody wanted to be like Mike, so to speak, and, like, dunk from the free throw line. And, and, like, now kids are pulling up to shoot threes. So that it's not a fair question because the eras change and things are different and it's less physical and I don't know.
Well, how about this? Let's tweak it a little. Do you have anything to add to that, Sheriff? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Bill Russell had 11.
Yes.
Which is the record.
Correct.
Sorry.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Technically am the stat guy. I show up
way better than the original stat
I show up 5 minutes later, right on time. So
right on time.
Maybe that's why the stats get a little fudged, but
I just make them up as I go.
I think Pat brings up a good point, and that was kind of what I was saying earlier about the Ohio State backup quarterback, Florida State, blah, blah, blah. You can tell college football's on my mind, but it's Jordan. The physicality of the game is so different.
For me, it's the way each one of them did it. So Jordan was drafted by the Bulls, starred with the Bulls, didn't have the supporting cast with the Bulls. They built around him. Now they brought in another star.
Yeah,
We're not saying
okay.
they didn't.
Yeah, so they built around him.
Correct.
I wouldn't say he didn't have the supporting cast because he.
I think originally I would say
Yeah.
he didn't, but he was a star. Immediately when he came in the league, he was a star. And I wasn't sitting there in my diapers watching the games,
Right.
but I've read enough to see that,
Yeah.
and it's looked at his stats enough because he's an interesting, just character, just to read his life story because
he's awesome.
He's kind of polarizing on his
Also,
personal life.
Yeah. Also loves to gamble.
He does.
Yeah.
That's.
His dad also.
We'll go ahead and go with this.
You are right.
A lot of rumors
right,
about his
Pete.
gambling debts and also his hiatus from basketball for 3 years. When he went to baseball, there's rumors that was a suspension, but the league didn't want to make it public because of how popular he was.
He's the face of the
a
NBA.
suspension for gambling on games.
I was today years old when I knew that.
Really? Oh
You
yeah.
gotta watch the documentary.
Y'all would have I watched The Last Dance, but I don't.
Oh, they
think-
wouldn't put that in there.
No,
'cause
that's
he stars.
his. Yeah, that's
he stars
his
in there.
documentary.
That's one of those Urban Meyer. Don't mention my bad stuff.
Oh, the Swamp Kings.
There you go.
Don't watch it.
Most
Please
disappointing-
God, don't watch it.
Most disappointing documentary in the history of the world is Swamp
I agree
Kings.
with that.
It's about the Florida Gators who had murderers.
Right.
Very interesting characters on their team, and they mentioned none of them. It was all Tebow Glory and Urban Meyer.
Had Riley
Slobbery.
Cooper who said the word Nooga, but was not
The real
as
word.
Yeah, was not as controlled as Pack. Or Pack doesn't need any control. Not as controlled as Sleezy and I. Yeah, there was so many fighting with the coach. There was so many ways they could have gone with that, and they went nowhere.
But back to my point, they built around Jordan, and Jordan was the leader of the team. LeBron, to me, has chased everything and tried to get into perfect situations. Now, a lot of it has to do with ownership and who they put around them and how they're trying to build. I get it. Cleveland was never going to be the spot that sustained championships.
My argument to that is that is the league now. I
It
mean,
is, and that's why I'm not a fan.
Yeah, we have to remember like
Not a fan.
the era that we're in now. I mean, look, Kevin Durant has I don't know how many teams that dude. He's on the Suns now, and
he's one of my most hated athletes.
Yeah,
I hate Kevin Durant.
Right,
I think he's
I'm
the
not
most
a fan
anyways,
either.
Go ahead.
But I mean, the one
Not going to be a guest.
Sorry, Kevin.
Yeah, the one who was pretty loyal was Damian Lillard. Shout out the Bucks. He's a Milwaukee Buck now, but he was very loyal to the Blazers, the Portland Trail Blazers, until he tried. Until
they ran him off.
They ran him off. They weren't putting pieces around him to win. He requested to be traded. Shout out the Bucks. Pulled the trigger. They're trying to keep Giannis around for forever, which they should.
Because y'all are kind of a recent success story in the NBA, in my opinion.
So Giannis, for those that don't know, the Greek freak, he was drafted by the Bucks. So he's, the equivalent of the Braves. How they it's a lot of homegrown talent built from within. So
because usually with the NBA, the norm is, and which is I'm pretty. It's why I don't follow the NBA, because once you start following a team that's not the Lakers, not the
big
Heat,
market,
the big market teams, their players want the exposure and the money, and they usually go to these teams and create these super teams. So you lose that loyalty, just like the Lakers are now. They're all made up of non-homegrown. Sorry to interrupt, just trying to explain that part of it.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But from Giannis, Chris Middleton, who's homegrown, drafted by the Bucks. I think don't fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure
he's been there a while.
Been there a while at least. Won championship in 21. I want to say I was in Milwaukee when they won that. It was awesome, just scene to be around. It was cool to be in the city when they win a championship like that. Shout out Sleezy. He's been to the Deer District.
That's right.
Over there
by
where
the
Bucks
stadium.
were. Yeah, right by the stadium. Much like the Battery is to Atlanta.
Very cool area.
Yeah.
We've already shouted out Milwaukee. Very cool town. Please go if you get a chance. Not in the winter.
Yeah, not in the winter. So anyway, I don't know. We are, I think, way off topic, but
we are. I
think the era now is that's how it is. People try to make friends and build these teams, whereas back in previous eras that was not the case. So I don't fault some of the big names for trying to do that, because that's where we're in, the era we're in. But I don't know. Yeah, I will give LeBron one head nod, fist bump
for going back to Cleveland and winning the championship. He did do that.
The land, yeah, you better not disrespect. You're
Hey,
you're
I gotta
headed
go
there
back.
next week.
Gotta go back to the land.
You're the LeBron of podcasting, huh? Going back to the land.
Going back.
Yeah, he's
So that's our answer.
Chris Middleton from Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh,
Shout out to the Notebook. And,
Oh man, closet favorite movie of
Right.
myself. Not in the closet anymore.
Not in the closet anymore. You're out of it. Shout out R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Drafted by the Pistons.
oh,
But
okay.
been with the Bucks for 1 year with the Pistons, 2012 to 13.
Okay.
Been
So,
with the Bucks ever
A
since.
decade, 10, after much like that.
I like
So,
Chris Middleton.
10.
Big guy that can shoot,
Yep.
man. Got a handle. He is a player.
Yeah. Well, just to go full circle, The Notebook is one of my favorite movies, and the special agent and I have a picture of us laying down in the street in King Street to
Man,
replicate
love.
the famous scene in the movie of The Notebook.
You were feeling the
Ryan
love,
Gosling.
weren't
Ryan
you?
Gosling.
Ooh, what do you want? What do you want? Were you crying like that day?
Hey, we're
With
not
your
getting that
beautiful
deep.
blonde hair?
We're not getting that deep. Good
I like
movie.
the Notebook.
There you go. All right, CNN
Oh,
coming in strong. Another good question. A little. I didn't expect this one. Out of season, we'll say.
okay.
All right. He says it's the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, winning run on third base, and you're walking up to the plate. What's your walk-up song?
Good one. Man, Nick's got some good questions.
He does. He's in his little layer, a lot of computers around,
Yep.
just typing up stuff. So
I'm
I thought
not
about this.
surprised.
I had a little heads up, so I'll go ahead and talk about mine. I want to do the Undertaker. And the lights go out in the stadium. No lights anywhere. Emergency lights out everywhere. And I just, when they put the lights back on, I'm at the plate ready to hit.
So
So
magic trick there.
that's the classic Undertaker.
Mhm.
So the pitcher, it's like gets the ball back, lights go out everywhere, the dong sound from the Undertaker. And then the lights come back on, everybody's like, oh my God, the power went out. Nope, I'm at bat, ready to hit a homer. What's up?
You better hit one doing that.
And then I strike out.
Oh, yeah, Chris Angel over there.
I hit a 200-foot fly ball.
Yeah, you
To left
better
field.
hit the ball out of the stadium doing that.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Pat.
man,
I
I can't. I got.
I'm gonna get killed for my answer.
Oh, please
Well, go ahead
give
there. Go ahead
yeah,
there,
because
Sheriff.
I am.
This is a hard thing because the.
I hate walk-up songs, so
Yep.
go ahead, Pat.
No, I was gonna say PackMan. Why he thinks of his PackMan and I. So they were the little packet.
I was just gonna say I was gonna
Oh,
use that
didn't
as my
do it.
song. No, go ahead, please
I
tell
was
us.
just gonna say it's hard because they were gonna do walk-up songs for their little league team, and Pat consulted me on what should it be, and it was hard, man,
It
because they're
is.
gonna be judged on that.
Yeah,
like their contemporaries are gonna judge them.
Yes. So, on that note, Brady and I we were in the car. We're listening to songs. He picked "Bombs Over Baghdad" by
Oh, yeah.
Outkast. So good taste.
Hitting
Brady.
bombs.
Yeah, hitting bombs. So that was kind of the theme. We're like, man, you can hit bombs. Play "Bombs Over Baghdad." We listened to it. He liked it. That was going to be his walk-up song. Can't do walk-up songs in Little League. That's kind of why a lot of these kids play travel ball and do all that nowadays. But yeah, Little League rules are you can't have walk-up songs. So we didn't actually even have
Let the
walk-up
kids
songs.
play.
Yeah, let
No,
them play.
That's what y'all
walk-up song.
say.
So,
Nah.
because I can't think of anything else, I'm going to steal my son's walk-up song and do Bombs Over
There
Baghdad
you
by
go.
Outkast.
You looking to hit a grounder?
Yeah, grounder to
He'll beat it
shortstop.
out, though.
Shout out to the softball team. I hit a slow grounder to shortstop. But yes, I have beat many of those out. But
Pack is quick. I don't know what other positive scouting report I can give him, but he can run.
that's about it.
Can run. It might be like the Tom Brady scouting report. One positive and then about 20 negatives, which would probably be all of our scouting reports at this time. I hate walk-up songs. Shout out to Ride a Kayak guy. It's kind of like getting a medal for doing your job.
It's
You
a
should
good.
just be up there bashing the hell out of the ball.
That's a classic kayak guy statement, and very true. I agree with him.
Why don't you just do your job?
That's right.
Well, we're shouting him out, and
Got
certainly
a
we
medal for
love
taking reports.
we love Rye for just hey, do your job and the hell with it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
shout out. He helped me out on Wednesday also doing his job. So, according to his logic, he doesn't deserve a shout out. He's just
Doesn't
doing
deserve
his job. But
Take it
I
back.
think he'll
Yeah,
take the
take it
shout
back.
out,
Yeah,
but he's
so
not
I-
going to take any more than that.
That's right. All right, I
No
will.
walk-up songs,
All right.
no medals.
shout out stands. Appreciate the help Wednesday. Just like Complaining Kyle.
Next week, maybe something different.
Yeah, maybe a new nickname for him. But anyway,
I will play this. I will play this game with you, even though I don't like walk-up songs. Again, I'm the.
We've got your disclaimer. Go ahead.
The old man. Get off my grass.
Get off his grass,
Even
guys.
though Lee was with me last week. I know
yeah, he went full circle. Went from get off
out.
my grass. Don't want the kids wearing jewelry or chains. To all of a sudden, like
I agreed
they're
with him.
turning the power out, having explosions and pyrotechnics.
Ronald Acuna, eat your heart out, man. You make him. Yeah, you make him look like Pete Rose.
The lights go out, and all of a sudden you're just appearing at bat. Like, come on,
we're also living in a fantasy world where I'm allowed to bat in the
Atlanta Braves. Yeah, he just skipped all the minor leagues. Any training.
Just like MLB The Show, man.
That's right.
Always.
Straight into the batter's box at Truist to hit a duck snort to left field. Anyway, shout out to Sleezy, who was the gentleman that turned me on to this artist. And I did this because I'm a terrible dad. Shout out to Big Brain. She reminds me every day. The beginning lyrics of this song is, I've been swinging and missing.
That's right.
So Landon in his one travel ball tournament, because he's already been cut from the team. That's another story we'll get into. He was cut, but he was never told he was cut. I was also a coach that got cut. I was never told I got
Family
cut.
affair.
Oh, I think you told me this out at ball field one day.
We'll have to get into that. Big Brain is, she's salty. But yeah, Bailey Zimmerman, Rock in a Hard Place is Landon's favorite walk-up song, and also mine, because it's throwing shade.
It is.
So if you strike out, see, you like my reverse psychology, I think y'all like this, because it's normally above my court jester brainwaves. If you're swinging and missing, that's what they expect. So you're setting the expectation low, kind of like an inside joke, reverse psychology. So if you anything positive, they're going to be like, wasn't that awesome? The guy's throwing shade at himself, and then he hit a 400-foot home run. Or
there
whatever.
you go.
And y'all following me on that?
Ironically enough, at this table, the only one in jeopardy of hitting a 400-foot home run is the sheriff.
Yeah, no kidding.
It might need some more Yazoos before that happens.
You can do it. Well, fellas, y'all have a good Thanksgiving. Everybody.
Absolutely.
Any highlights of the meals? Because I always love talking about food.
I did not take a nap, which is very uncharacteristic for me. Or second sleep. Shout out Scott Bobby.
Scott Bobby, I bet he's a good second sleeper.
Yeah, I know he kicked it on back Thursday a couple times, I'm sure, because Demanda was working the mean streets.
That's correct. But I had good Thanksgiving.
At the governor's house.
Oh, they
out
had
of county working the mean streets.
They had a little meal over there, huh?
Yeah. Well, you know.
We'll go ahead and shout that
out.
We'll go ahead and shout that out. The governor of Georgia.
This is super cool.
This state, Brian Kemp, he has done at least the past Thanksgiving. I guess this one too. Breaking news from the
probably
sheriff.
the last 2 or 3. Yeah.
Has done a law enforcement breakfast at his ranch. We'll call it at his house. Where he's cooked for law enforcement, has to work on Thanksgiving, which is really cool. He's a big supporter of law enforcement.
Yeah, that he is.
So that's pretty cool. And glad if Demanda did go. Glad she got to partake. I know some people that did last year.
She was probably the life of the party if we know Demanda.
Hey, probably lobbying for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Lobbying for.
Glad somebody got some FaceTime besides you there, Sheriff. The Sheriff
I was not there.
But you've had quite the FaceTime with the governor the past year.
I got good vibes from the governor and the first lady.
There you go.
But yeah, we'll.
So that's really cool, and he also got to hand the governor's trophy to the Bulldogs after the win. Which he's a big Bulldogs fan. How would that have gone if he had to hand that to the Jackets? I guess he'd been professional.
He's a UGA alum. But I would think he's and that would probably be a good question. Somebody can send in a question about what does it mean to be a good old boy. He in a positive way. I know that can be a bad thing too, but he seems like he's not taking anything too serious.
Yeah.
And I mean like sports and stuff. Obviously.
Oh yeah.
Society has its warts, and I'm sure he's trying to fix them. I just the couple times I've been lucky enough to meet him, he just seemed like a pretty laid back guy, which is probably what we need in
And
society.
Special Agent's met his family a time or two, and they're regular people, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we won't delve off into that. We've already delved off into that.
He would probably be salty because he's a UGA alum, but I'm sure he would be professional, of course. Like
if he had to hand to the Jackets, he would be professional. Maybe someday.
Maybe hopefully we're dead and gone by then.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It's happened more recent than I like to remember. But all right.
When is the last time Georgia Tech won? I think McElroy said it.
2016, 2017. It's Kirby's first year.
Said 11 years.
No. It was Kirby's first year because.
And it was in Atlanta.
No, it was not Atlanta. Last time they won in Atlanta was '99.
Check with the stat guy.
Check it up. I'll stand by this one. It was in Athens because they took pieces out of the hedges, which is sacrilege. Should be punishable. You think UGA PD, who has nothing to do, will arrest you for turning?
Oh God! Shots fired.
Well, arrest you for turning a doorknob counterclockwise.
Sorry to any of the UGA PD listeners.
I just don't have enough to do. Anyways, they disgraced the hedges by ripping off pieces and taking pictures with it. But '99, because it was McElroy, not Rogers, who said '99 was the last time they won in Atlanta. The Tech, that is. And Stat Guy is scrolling through his phone.
I'm scrolling. Go ahead.
While he's doing that, we're wrapping up, as we do, for our long pilgrimage to the end of the episode. Following this, either attached to this or another download as a bonus episode, I was fortunate enough to do a short little episode with my daughters this weekend and the Special Agent. Enjoyed it very much. Glad I got to do it with them. They were not as excited, but they did do it.
Spoiler alert! It's already up on the YouTube, and I did watch it before I came, and it's entertaining. You take a look at it, take a listen on either after this episode or on the special episode or whatever. But it's short. It was 15, 20 minutes. So
yeah, and if you got some daughters, they probably would enjoy it more than our regular listeners because they talked about things that were their age, which was what I intended for them to do. Yeah. And if nobody likes it, I don't really care. I had a good time doing it, and I enjoyed it. And so anyways, it is out there, so do check it out. The video's up, and then the audio will be there right after the fabulous music to end this show, or it'll be as a bonus episode on wherever you get your podcast from.
Episode 10.5, we could call it.
There you go.
My kids liked it. They enjoyed it. We cast it up on the TV earlier today.
That's
what
funny.
A sweet guy.
I know.
Georgia Tech won in 1906, 17-0. Hold on, I'm scrolling.
All right, Stat Guy.
I'm scrolling down. Hold on.
You were hired.
Just keep.
And you were hired, and now you're.
They won 3 in a row: 98, 99, 2000. Georgia Tech won in Athens in 08.
Yep.
And Sleezy is correct. November the 26th, 2016, in the Classic City, 28.
I don't know the score.
27.
But that was a
point game.
That was a rough year, right? Because that was the Tennessee Hail Mary. No, that was the year after. It was the Tennessee Hail Mary.
Yeah, I want to say that was closer to.
Because that would have been opposite.
Is that the Josh Dobbs? Shout out, Josh.
Yeah,
there was a Tennessee
shout out no
man
eyebrows
mixed in there.
That was 2017 because, or maybe even later than that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're not getting into that. I'll look it up.
Georgia has won the last 6.
Correct.
So I was one off.
The next 6.
I will raise my hand to say I was one off. Thank you to the Sleaze and Greg McElroy.
There you go. Well, check out
some. Will not be cheering for the Dogs this weekend.
McElroy will not be cheering for the Dogs. Anyways, check out some of this Yazoo Pilsner. Thank you, Pat, for bringing it in.
It was actually good.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was good. And you've got 3 Arnold Palmers left for the ride home.
I do. Excuse won't be cheering for the Dogs either. But
Excuse will not. But hopefully, not hopefully, we will be back before.
We will be back.
Before the championship game. The next episode will be available. Fortunately and unfortunately, I was hoping to do a recap right after the game, but we'll do a preview right before the game and go into the playoffs a little bit more than we already have. For more arguments.
Yeah,
to come.
I mean,
and Sheriff, we're glad you're better. Glad you're back. We missed you.
Yeah, I would have loved to do a
special
reaction
agent
episode while the emotions were still pure. I might.
Yeah, special
have
agent
to bleep me out.
Was going to take your seat, but she relinquished it.
I thought she was good.
I
we
thought she was
want to debrief that.
I thought she was awesome. I love the dynamic between the two of them.
Some arrows
Hey,
of love or hate or both were flying over your head, Sleezy.
I know it. Yeah.
hey, it's got to take them. That's what marriage is about.
Yeah, there was some mansplaining going on.
Yeah,
but
there was. Check it out if y'all
she
haven't
stood up
listened.
to the fight.
Yeah, if
but,
you haven't listened to that one, it's a doozy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I
Check
was-
out the past episodes. I have talked to some people who've found us out as they've gone along, and they have enjoyed going back and listening to the past episodes, listening to how bad the audio has been.
Hear how much it has improved.
In 10 episodes, we have come a long ways
Yep.
from a bunch of idiots, me being the biggest one, not knowing anything about this, genre or audio or power or microphone plugging up.
We did have our most distinguished guest.
Yeah, at the worst
Shorter,
time.
if we can get the governor, was just talking to a computer.
Correct. Didn't know the microphones weren't actually picking up anything.
That's right. Yeah.
So sorry there, Cocky. But we learned.
Well, an
We're moving
excuse
on.
to have them back.
That's right.
Yeah, so we've learned. Moving on. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the audio better now. We've gotten some
You
better
sound so
compliments
good.
about it. And but we appreciate everybody sticking with us
days
for
of
10
the
episodes.
Pack sounds good
He
with all the
does.
tendons.
He does. But all right. Well, check us out next week. Check us out on the gram, YouTube. I got some videos on the talk as well, even though I don't know what I'm doing there. And if you ain't got your T-shirt, man, they're going pretty good. We have the logo T-shirts, and then we have a not handy shirt in red and black. So they're $18 a piece. You can get with one of us if you know us personally. If not, send a message to the show on Instagram, and we will be more than happy to get you one.
That's right.
We appreciate all the support. Anything to add, fellas, before we get out of here?
We got to come up with we got to incentivize. The word on the street is that we need to incentivize the guests.
The guest.
Golly.
Oh,
You know what?
calm
Whoever
down.
said that is, I got a line out the door waiting to get on the show. So
No, you know what it is. So you know
I'm just telling you what the streets are telling me.
the controversy, so to speak, when they found out Pat McAfee was paying,
yes.
Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers, he paid Aaron Rodgers like $1 million for the
He's
year
paid,
for the
several
season.
of his guests, yeah.
Several of his guests. So you're not getting paid for coming on the podcast. You can get your exposure.
Let's don't say they won't get paid. I got some Chick-fil-A coupons that I can pass out.
Free cookie.
free
You get a
sandwiches?
free cookie,
Yeah.
free ice cream cone.
This
Maybe.
was more of a
You get a
plea
drink.
for apparel, but
You know,
I can see that it's
I
falling on
see.
deaf ears.
I would love to give out T-shirts just like a rain. I would love to. I really would. Unfortunately, the purpose of the T-shirts is to try to get this room a little better because it has a long way to go. It has come a long ways.
It has come along.
Check out the videos from the early episodes, and you'll see where it has come from and where we're at.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get better so that our guests aren't distracted by just
The
stuff.
boom boom and going on in the room.
That's it.
That's right. But we do appreciate everybody's support.
I'm just picking on you, Sleezy.
No,
I know
that's
there's
I
a
hear
method
it.
to all your madness.
Just buy a shirt. Stop complaining.
Yeah, buy a
Buy a shirt.
I know y'all got $18. I know who you
Come
work
on.
for.
Yeah, that's it.
I know who you work for. I know
Yeah.
Gertz takes care of y'all. Anyways,
Ask Big Brain to.
Christmas is
Only
coming
got
up.
some
Hey,
of
they
that
make
baby
great
money. There you
great
go.
Christmas gifts,
Yeah.
stocking stuffers.
and you
All
can't even
that.
Pack is on it.
you can't
All
even
that.
buy a rag for $18.
That's right,
these days,
yeah.
so you gotta clean up
Easy.
your oil after changing your car oil.
Cut it up for all we care. Cut it up and have like 4 rags.
There you go.
I was gonna ask you what rag you were talking about.
Hey,
All right. Okay.
on
Check
that
us
note.
out, and y'all have a good week. See you now. My music's not even working, so there you go. Oh God. All right, we're just gonna get on out of here. Not even working.